So we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, as I mentioned, we have had an extraordinary response to this topic. Over 200 people registered for the webinar tonight, and it's really because this is something that we have to pay attention to is AI now. AI is here to stay, whether you like it or not. We have to not only use AI to make your job more efficient, but also be remembering that your patients are now using these AI tools. And so it isn't just about doing traditional search engine optimization, but it's making sure that you have a strategy to get your practice recommended by AI. So if AI is not recommending your practice, we are going to talk to you about how you can actually start fixing that as soon as tomorrow. So just a quick intro on the dynamic duo that you have here tonight as speakers. So I am Lori Werner, and I have Sherry Sabraka here with me. Sherry is my ride or die here at Medical Marketing. She's been with me almost since the very beginning, almost 10 years ago. And we absolutely love doing these webinars and really sharing with you guys the things we've learned over the last 10 years about marketing. And in the last 18 months, it has been so much about AI. So we are with Medical Marketing Wiz, and our company specializes in helping functional and integrative medicine providers, women's health providers, aesthetic medicine providers, and we're also involved with a lot of leading organizations in this space. So you'll sometimes see us on stage at different medical conferences. But yeah, so just wanted to introduce ourselves and give you a little bit of our background. So if you haven't heard of us before, definitely check us out on social media and check out our website. So, Sherry, I'll let you touch on this because we do always have some little ethical bribes to keep people to the end of the webinar.
That's right. So stay to the end, and in the replay that we send out, we will include the If AI Can't Find You, Patients Won't Either guide. And this is a free downloadable guide that we created to help you implement some of the things we're sharing with you tonight. It's designed to be a plug and play for you to be able to add these features to your website and help you get found.
Awesome. All right. So, first and foremost, and I kind of touched on this at the beginning, this is something that is here to stay AI, not only for helping you be more efficient, come up with ideas for your marketing, but also realizing that this is where patients are now doing a lot of their searches. And so, it's estimated that by 2027, nearly 90 million people in the US are going to be using AI first for their online search. And I will tell you, we've even seen that even with people researching marketing ideas. They're going to Claude, they're going to ChatGPT. Google now has their own AI answers in terms of incorporating AI into Google search. And so the biggest thing that you need to just keep in mind, and obviously this is why you guys are joining tonight, is to make sure that you have a strategy because this is changing so quickly. People that are not paying attention to this are going to be so far behind in patients being able to find you than when we were really just kind of relying on traditional search engine optimization. And so, as I mentioned, the shift in patient search. So patients are using, and I would say probably the most common that we're seeing right now, of course, ChatGPT. Google has its own AI overviews, and Claude. Claude is my personal favorite.
It's blowing up.
I've kind of shifted to Claude a little bit myself, but these are amazing tools that you can use, but realize that patients are using these tools not only to research providers, but to even they'll upload their lab reports to these AI tools and say, "Hey, explain to me what this lab report means," or "Hey, who is the best doctor to solve this problem that I have going on in my health and wellness?" And they're asking for AI to give them recommendations because it spits out an answer that is a lot more direct than what you would just find in a Google search result. And so, if your website and your overall online footprint is not structured for AI to be able to read your content, it may not ever recommend you. And now you're missing out on a lot of potential new patients that really need to find what it is that you're offering. And so, Sherry, I'll let you touch on this if you don't mind, just a little bit about like, okay, we know AI is here to stay, but where does AI actually pull its content from?
Yeah, so AI is pulling from a bunch of different queries. So it's pulling from top 10 to 12 website rankings. It's pulling from YouTube. So looking for that educational content. So when we think of AI, we're really thinking of authoritative, informational, content, they want to show you the best of the best. So they're looking for fresh content, aim for that in-depth content, transparency, reviews, media and industry sites. So if you have credentials, we want to highlight those because they're really looking for that top person to pull in. So as we go through this, we'll touch on those different pages that you need to have on your page and then the other spots that AI is pulling from.
Yeah, a couple things just to highlight here too, Sherry, is just recent content. So, freshness of content. Gone are the days where you can get your website redone and you're like, okay, good. I don't have to worry about that for 2 or 3 years. AI is looking for how fresh and recent your content is. And as Sherry mentioned, the depth of content. So, for example, let's say that you specialize in gut health. No longer can you just have like one page that talks about gut health. They're looking for expertise in that specific topic. So, still adding blogs and adding, and we'll talk a little bit about how those have to be structured a little bit differently for AI. And then we'll also talk about media and industry sites. So, this is going to be things like having your business mentioned on like an ABCDV station's website or in a newspaper article or a publication. That tells AI that you are an authoritative business, and it also helps you get found and recommended by these sort of tools. And so this is the term that we hear now, and people will say AIO or AEO. Essentially, what this means is answer engine optimization. And so instead of only optimizing your website and your overall online footprint just for things like Google and Yahoo search, we want to actually optimize it for these answer engines. And so, why this really matters for you is that they look for trust signals when they determine are they going to show your business or are they going to show somebody else's business? So, they look at your online reputation. So, if you have been somebody that has been proactive in getting Google reviews, guess what? That is going to help you with these AI tools. We'll talk a little bit more about transparency and making sure that you are transparent in even things like your services and your pricing, your expertise. So, if you're a board certified family practice doctor, that helps you in AI if you are mentioning that in your content. We'll also talk about policies and ethics because, again, this is all about trust. And then also verified credentials. So things, again, like your board certifications, associations, affiliations that you're part of. And so we'll talk a little bit about SEO and AEO because I don't want you to think that SEO is dead, right? SEO is still, SEO meaning search engine optimization. This is still the foundation of getting your website even found on search, period, right? So we don't want to discard that, but we want to make sure that you have a strategy for the AI. So when we think about SEO, we're thinking about making sure that you've got the right keywords on your website. You have depth of content. So you have blogs, all of your pages are optimized. And when I say pages being optimized, there's some things, and we have a whole webinar just about SEO. So we won't go super deep into it, but making sure that you don't just have a nice looking website, but you actually have the foundations of search engine optimization on each and every page. So a correct title tag, a correct meta description, and alt tags on all of your images. This is still foundational for your website. Backlinks. So backlinks are basically all the other places on the internet that link back to your website. So that could be your Yahoo listing, or maybe I met with somebody today that we met through AmSpa. They're part of the AmSpa, American Medical Spa Association, and they have a profile on that page. That helps you with search engine optimization. But when we look at answer engine optimization, we've got to do things a little bit differently. So one of the things I like to point out is FAQs. So rather than writing just a traditional blog, you want your content to be written in an FAQ format because those are the questions that people are asking in AI. So having some of your blogs written in more of a frequently asked questions format does help you get found in AI, as well as media and industry sites. So we'll talk a little bit about this further and how to get mentioned in things like press releases. And then as Sherry mentioned at the beginning, YouTube. So we'll talk about how YouTube actually helps you get found in AI search. So Sherry, why don't you touch on this one if you don't mind?
Yep. So, like we said before, they're looking for trust signals. So, AI is looking for those authoritative trust signals to show you to the searcher. So, AI evaluates structured trust signals across the website and your online presence, which we're going to touch on. So, like Lori said, the website, yes, we still need that SEO piece in there as well, but now we're adding in that AEO piece, so we're getting found in both avenues. Practices with clear proof, data, and transparency are recommended more often. So we're going to go through this again, but showing the clear proof of not making wild claims, everything's trustworthy, you're transparent, it's a trustworthy site, things like that.
And
So again,
oh, go ahead, Sherry. I'll let you
I
finish
was gonna
this
say
one.
that going into optimizing for local searches, this is pulling in that SEO piece of it as well. So your Google business profile, those directory listings. So every place your name, address, phone number lives outside of that URL bar that you have. We want to get that out there. I think of myself as a consumer, and sometimes I use my voice search, sometimes I use my map to find places. And if you're not pulling in, then you're lost in that mix. So you want to make sure you're pulling up in not just in those listings like the traditional Yahoo, Google, Bing, but Waze, Ford Maps, Siri, Alexa, all of those things. And then making sure your name, address, phone number are exactly the same across the board, down to that punctuation. So we don't want suite number spelled out somewhere and abbreviated someplace else. Make sure that phone number is the same. And then the reviews are huge for that Google profile.
Yep.
So
And
getting
we'll
all
touch on
those
each one of
reviews.
these in a little bit more
Yep.
detail here in a second.
Yep.
So Google profile. So great segue into the next
Yeah.
slide. So how to optimize your Google business profile. And honestly, you guys, this is helping for search engine and answer engine optimization. You need to do it regardless. So the beauty of your Google business profile is it is free. It is free for you to claim and optimize your profile. And it's shocking to me how many times people do not do this. So, this is arguably even more important than your website from the first place that people are going to find you. Oftentimes, they're going to find your Google business profile before they ever click on your website. So, first thing, you want to make sure that you claim and own all of your Google business profiles. So today I had a marketing strategy call with a husband and wife that were physicians that were family practice, and they actually both had their own Google business profile. So you need to make sure that you're doing that for all of your providers as well as the practice overall. Business categories. So you want to have your main business category be the closest to what your specialty is. So this example here, this is a gynecologist. You don't want your main category to just be doctor because that does not really tell Google or the AI searches what your actual specialty is. And you get lumped in with every kind of doctor of every kind of medical specialty. A keyword rich description. So this is where you can add specific things about maybe awards and credentials or specific services that you specialize in. Adding woman-owned business, adding all of your services. So just like your website where you have your menu and all the different services you offer, you want to make sure that you have those listed on your Google business profile. And again, this is free for you to do. The data does show Google will send more traffic to your website and direction requests to your practice when you claim and optimize your Google business profile. And then Sherry also mentioned the directory listing. So just to dive in a little bit more on why this is important is this builds authority to your domain. So not only did we just talk about the Google profile, is you want to make sure that you're listed and that your business name, address, and phone number is exactly the same across Apple Maps, Google Maps, Waze, your Yelp profile, your social profiles. Bing is actually married to ChatGPT. So having a profile on Bing helps you get found by ChatGPT. The voice activated things like Siri and Alexa, Google Assistant. And then don't forget your healthcare citations as well. So make sure you've looked yourself up on Healthgrades and ZocDoc and Vitals and RateMD and WebMD and RealSelf and all these places, as well as we don't have listed on here, but any societies that you're part of. So if you are a member of the Menopause Society, make sure that you have claimed that profile. You've added your photo, you've added your website, because believe it or not, people go to those sort of directories and they're searching for providers And those directories also pull into these AI tools. So in this example, again, somebody's looking for a menopause practitioner and you have a profile on the Menopause Society that helps you get found, more likely to be found on these AI tools as well as in just general Google search because you are that certified menopause practitioner. The other thing that is huge that people don't realize, and YouTube, I would say, is kind of a social media, but it's also a big player in AI. So this is actually a study that came out towards the end of last year that looked at the industries that benefit most from videos when it comes to AI search, and healthcare is number one. So having a YouTube channel, I would argue, is probably one of the best social medias that you can have. And so what can you put on your YouTube channel? Well, you can put your webinars, you can put shorts, you can put demos, you can have instructional content. AI does highly correlate with videos on YouTube. And so this is a smart additional channel to have that helps you get found in AI search. Let's talk a little bit about the PR piece. If you don't mind, Sherry, if you could touch on press releases. I know this is a big piece of what we do at Medical Marketing Wiz is building authority for our clients so that when somebody Googles you, it's not just your website that comes up, it's a bunch of media articles about you. So maybe if you could touch on that for us.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize the power of a press release. So this is not just putting a blog. Blogs have their purpose, but now we're taking that and kind of pushing it a little farther. And we're creating a press release, which is announcing maybe a new treatment you offer. Maybe you just joined a new society. Maybe you are redoing your office, got a new provider, something that's worth announcing. We put that together and then we push it out. So it's pushed out via a press wire. And then these outlets start picking it up. Yep. So here we go. So these articles are picked up by places like Google News, Bing News, the Associated Press, and then from there kind of go out to affiliates of ABC, CBS, NBC, and they go out to local, regional, national. And it's important to understand because I get asked this a lot, like, well, I'm not going to see somebody in Texas, I'm in Connecticut. Well, the purpose of that is building that backlink back to your site. So it's not to get a patient in Texas to come all the way across the country to see you. It's to build out these authoritative backlinks that are coming back to you because in AI, then that signals to them that your domain and your site has authority because
Yeah.
these places that are high ranking are picking your domain up. So it's really to just build that out. And then, like Lori said, when someone Googles you, now your profile shows up and then your website, and now all of these links to these different sites that have picked up your article or your press
Yep.
release.
So it's really like, think of it like a blog article, but rather than it just living on your website, it's on your local ABC TV station's website. And so if you're an AI, platform and there's a whole bunch of articles out there that says that you specialize like whatever, today, May is osteoporosis month. So maybe you have a DEXA and somebody is looking up something on osteoporosis, there's a news station site that's local to them or regional or national that is talking about how you offer DEXA for osteoporosis, but also for body composition analysis and tracking patients that are on GLP-1s, for example. So it's a way to really get authority to what you're doing. And then you can add to your website that you're as seen on, some of these different media outlets. So it also can help with conversion when people find you. And then also just, we talked a little bit about this, is the freshness of content on your website. So AI highly favors content that shows real-time relevance. So just as I said, it's osteoporosis month this month. It's also going to be Mother's Day this month. So maybe you have something going on. Maybe you're an aesthetics provider and you have something going on at your office that's related to Mother's Day. AI highly favors fresh, relevant content. And so publishing articles that tie into current events or trends also is big. So we have a lot of doctors that do women's health, and they offer laser treatments for genitourinary syndrome of menopause. Well, Jada Pinkett Smith had this procedure done. And so there's things in the news about this. So now you are kind of piggybacking on some of those sort of current events or trends, and it helps you to be able to get found in search. Other things that are really great, and you kind of notice we even have this as one of our giveaways, step-by-step guides, right? So step-by-step guides on how to optimize your hormones, or a recipe guide, those FAQ articles that we meant, and then also that we had mentioned, and then how to, right? Because again, this is what people are searching for. They're searching for this on YouTube. They're searching for this in AI, how to optimize my hormones, how to know if I'm in menopause. So those sort of articles also help you get picked up by these AI tools. Now we're going to shift a little bit because we've been talking kind of a lot about like some off-page things that you can do, but there are specific pages that you need to have on your website that will help you to get found in AI. So this is something that you guys can kind of think about even moving into the next week as you think about your marketing plan, some of the pages that maybe you don't have on your website that you need to add. So I'll let you start off with this one if you don't mind, Sherry.
Yeah, so one of the biggies is website security and privacy page. So AI wants to know that if they're sending people to your page, that it's safe and secure. So on here, you want to explain how you're collecting people's data. So privacy protection, once you collect their information, how are you protecting it? Are you making sure it's not sold to third parties? And if I'm visiting a site, again, put yourself in consumer shoes. You want to feel safe visiting a site. You have secure forms on there. So it's not, spammy. They're nice and secure, payment secure, cookie policy so that people can accept or decline your cookies. So you want all of that on there. And then I would say a big thing for your website, make sure it's the HTTPS, is
Yes.
that S on the end. So that's telling a user that it's a secure site. And sometimes I know I've gone to sites and I'll get that pop up that's like, you're trying to go onto an unsecure site, go back to a safe space. So then I'm clicking back. And so you might be missing out if you
Yeah.
don't have a secure site.
And these
But
pages, you
once you have
guys,
it.
it can usually just be in the footer of your website. So it's not a page that needs to be in the menu of your website, but you absolutely have to have a privacy policy page, not only for AI, but honestly, to get any ad approved on Google or Meta, you have to submit a privacy policy page. So that's something that it's more of kind of a hidden page, but you definitely want to make sure that you have that on your website. Reviews and online reputation page. This is also big. And I would argue not only to get found in AI, but I think this is big for conversion. So I know for me, I'm looking up the reviews, especially if I'm paying out of pocket or I'm having somebody, optimize my hormones, or I'm going to let somebody laser my face, or I'm going to pay cash for a specific procedure. I'm going to do a lot of homework on this person. So it's going to help me as a user to land on your website and know that, hey, this is somebody that's trustworthy. I can read their reviews. But also, again, AI scans this to build a reputation graph because AI is trying to give that person the fastest, most accurate answer to their question. And if somebody is saying, hey, who's the best doctor to fix this problem that I have? That's where that reputation piece comes in. So having a page on your website that includes testimonials, that incorporates reviews that you have on various platforms, definitely sends that signal to AI that you should be that highly recommended provider. So just make sure that you are asking happy people for reviews, right? Because if you're not, we live in a negative society. You're always going to get there one or two crabby people that are mad about their bill or didn't like the attitude of the person that answered the phone and they leave you a bad review. And that not only affects your overall, online reputation, but it does hurt you in search. So one of the things we always say is, make it a goal to ask people to leave you reviews. Google reviews are going to be the number one priority. But there are other places to leave reviews like Facebook recommendations, and Yelp is another place, although I don't like Yelp as a company. They're kind of a necessary evil. You do need to have a Yelp profile. But really making sure that you are paying attention to your online reputation because that does help you get found in search and AI. So let's talk about the physician bio and author pages.
Yeah. Well, so you want to have an author or bio page for each of your providers. And then within that, you want to make sure you're highlighting their expertise because, again, AI is looking for the authoritative, trustworthy expertise to show the end user. each provider needs details with credentials, specialties, and experience, and a photo. So make sure there's a picture in there. You've got that alt text in the picture. Personalization is big. So again, this is an easy thing to adjust if you don't have it on your page already. Get pictures of each provider, get them their own bio
This
page.
would be kind of like if you had a page with all of the providers, then they would click on it and then each provider should actually have their own page is kind of what you're saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So you can have the about with all the providers, but essentially you want to be able to click on it and open up an individual provider page. Just again, it gives AI and SEO more of that direction of where to guide people.
Awesome. I love how this one, it's got like her special interests. So the specific things that she's interested in. Again, that's just also going to just build the keywords of your website. So if you have a specific provider that's kind of the go-to for men's health, and then you have like this specific provider is really into, asthma and diabetes and hypertension and cardiovascular conditions. And so that really just helps people to kind of understand, hey, this is a clinic that has people that are interested in specializing in a multitude of different conditions and services. The other thing that's big in terms of trust, and again, I would argue that this kind of serves two purposes, not only to help give that third party validation that you are an authoritative and trustworthy practice. But again, if I'm just a consumer and I'm choosing between providers, office A, B, and C, and I go to three different websites to look at their content, and I see that this particular office is a member of the Menopause Society and they're part of A4M and they're a 5-star Google rated office and maybe they won this award. That just gives me as a consumer or a potential patient, hey, these are people that have the qualifications and criteria for me to trust them. What happens a lot of times is you just have this buried like on the about page of the website that maybe you don't have a lot of people actually reading. So having this on the homepage of your site, very visual, that shows what is it about your practice that really makes you special. So is it your board certifications? Is it your top doc awards, the affiliations and societies that you're part of, maybe organizations that you volunteer at, or you're a member of your local chamber of commerce? And then as we mentioned with the press releases, you can do those media mentions as seen on ABC, CBS, this sort of publication that you maybe had an article in. All of those are trust signals that help AI recommend you, but also it really helps patients have that comfort in choosing you as their provider. So let's talk about case studies real quick too. So this is a page on your website that you want to have as the case studies.
Yeah, so this is again showing transparency, real results. It's going back to that trustworthy piece of it. So document real treatment outcomes. You don't want to have outrageous claims, like you'll see results in one treatment. If it's not the case, you want to set what's realistic on there, and explain the patient's problem, the treatment plan, and the measurable results. So this is another thing, and this is kind of off topic, but in topic. So Meta kind of dings you on this if you're not transparent with what the results are. So when you do put before and after photos on your pages, if you're sharing them on social media, anything like that, you need to have what the patient came in for. So this person had acne. They came in, they got 3 treatments, 6 months apart. This was the result. And then they were treated with X device. So you want to have what the problem is, their treatment plan, and then the result. So then you're not making some claim that could be false or made up, or unrealistic. You're showing real results, real information that's valid and trustworthy.
And I
And
think
again,
that's big too, Sherry, because what I see a lot of people, they've got great before and after pictures on their website, but that's all it is. So I think
yeah,
what we're really saying here is, and I love what you said, is like really explain the story behind what this patient came in for, what their actual treatment plan was, what the timeline for the results that you're seeing are. And again, I think just again, from a patient standpoint,
mhm,
that gives you a much better realistic expectation for the patient versus just like, them thinking that they're going to get one treatment and this is going to be the result that they get.
Right. And I'm going to trust it as a patient as well, seeing not the stock photos that came from maybe the device company and you don't know what doctor did it, but results that you actually did in office and you're telling me they had 3 treatments within this month span and these are the results. So to me, that puts trust in you that I'm seeing a real person that came to you. You're telling me exactly how you did it, how those results were achieved. So, and it also protects you from getting dinged with, getting your stuff shut down, basically.
Exactly. Yep. And AI is looking at this stuff. So just make sure if you do have before and afters, might be time to visit adding a little bit more of a case study sort of format to those on your pages. And then pricing transparency. So this again, a lot of the things that patients are asking these AI tools is they are frequently asking about cost. Now, there's mixed opinions on this, right? Because I think sometimes if your pricing isn't necessarily set and a patient has to come in and you've got to evaluate them and you've got to come up with a custom program, it really doesn't make sense to necessarily say pricing about that. But having a pricing page on your website does help you get found on AI. And Sherry, I know you were having a conversation,
Yeah.
I think it was
Yeah.
this week, right, with one of our clients
Yeah,
about
I
it.
have.
So,
And I've had this conversation with a few physicians. Um, for me, I say put the pricing on there if you have a set price. If you have a DEXA scan, if you have a RMR, if you have labs, that it's a set price. It's not changing whether the patient, what they're coming in for. I mean, it's a set price. Put that on there. But if you have like a program or a treatment where it's going to be variable, where maybe they're going to need 2 treatments or something's going to last longer than somebody else, where anywhere there's a variable, then maybe hold off on adding that on there. But if it's a set price where it's this is what we charge for our labs, this is what we charge for this scan, this is what we charge for an MRI, something like that, then it is worth putting on there for transparency purposes.
yeah, yeah. And again, it all goes back to that trust and recommendation likelihood that those AI tools are searching for. And then really your brand values. And again, I think this is, even something here at Medical Marketing Wiz, like having your mission statement, having, why are you in business and what is your brand all about? That gives confidence not only to the AI tools, but for people that are trying to choose between provider A, B, and C. So, transparency. Do you clearly explain the pricing and treatment options? We talked a little bit about that even with the case study approach. Are you offering patient education? So, are you consistently publishing helpful, understandable content in the terms of blogs? Maybe it's the videos that you're putting on YouTube. And then evidence-based care. So do your treatments and your messaging align with clinical standards? That's extremely important as well. And those are really the 3 things that AI tools look for, because if there's alignment, you're going to gain trust. If there's inconsistency, that's really where you lose it. So just kind of some important things. I think, it's always a good once a year to just kind of revisit what are your brand values? What is your mission statement? What is the vision? Who are the people that you enjoy helping the most? Who is that target patient that you're trying to reach? And then making sure that you have that very openly in the messaging that you're putting out in your marketing.
Mhm.
So I know there's a couple of other high impact pages that we did want to just briefly touch on as we're kind of rounding out the pages topic here.
Yeah. So the detailed about page. So like Lori said, making sure you have a solid mission statement, revisit it if you need to, but again, making sure it's consistent in channels because that is what consistency is key with everything. Educational content hub. So you could have a tab that maybe directs people to different information on treatments you offer. Just that continued education makes it real, relevant, transparent, authoritative. And then having a service area and contact page. Consistency again. You'll hear that word a lot when we talk about marketing. But service area, make sure you're marketing not just to your area, but a radius.
Rounding areas. Yep.
Yep. So again, in your Google profile, don't just put your city in there. You want to put the surrounding city. So when people are doing near me, you're going to pull in from those surrounding areas.
Yep. So this is kind of an implementation strategy, and we're going to give you guys that whole ebook that is going to talk about exactly how you can implement these things. So adding the reviews page, adding that pricing transparency page where fixed costs are in place, the physician bio pages. This is something that I would target to do over the next 90 days. And then we also touched on some of those off page things, your Google business profile, focusing on reviews, implementing press releases, and utilizing YouTube. All of those off page activities are things that will help you get found in AI. And I will tell you that this is a race right now for the people that are embracing this. They are going to be ruling in terms of AI recommendations, and the folks that are just kind of still trying to figure it out and they're not really taking action. This is just moving a lot faster than what we have seen previously with traditional search engine optimization. And so, again, the practices that AI recommends are the ones that are going to be getting more patient inquiries. And the difference really here is in clarity, transparency, and those trust signals that we mentioned. And so, just to tell you a little bit about kind of how we work. So, we are a full service marketing agency. We do search engine and answer engine optimization. We do websites, and then we do a whole bunch of things outside of that. Our focus is really on education based marketing. It's why we do things like webinars, it's why we do events, it's why we do monthly email newsletters. We're really trying to capture that patient all the way from at the beginning, that initial discovery of looking you up in AI and looking you up on Google, all the way to becoming a patient and telling all their friends and family about you. And so that's really our focus here at Medical Marketing Wiz. But we do build AI optimized physician websites. It's kind of step number one. If that's something that it's time to revisit, definitely reach out to us and we can talk to you more about that. Sherry and I actually, we have a book on Amazon. We actually have 3 books on Amazon, but the one that we're giving away today, we will actually even cover the shipping of this for you. So you will get an author copy of this book in the mail. It's called Anti-Aging and Longevity Marketing, and it has all of our secrets packed into one book. And it is all very tactical. So there are step-by-step things that you and your team can go through in this guide and really help you kind of get your marketing on track as you plan out the next 12 months. And then in addition to that, if you want to talk more specific just about your practice, we love getting to know you and understanding kind of where you're doing well and what's holding you back. And we can really point you in the right direction. Today, I actually had a call with somebody and they're like, hey, you know what? They booked a call actually to be on our podcast. And when I got on with them, it's like their website was kind of a mess. And they didn't know how much they were spending on marketing. They didn't even know what their marketing company was actually doing for them at this point. And so it's like, hey, let's slow down. Let's analyze what step one is most important for you. So that's the beauty of when we do a call, is it's not a cookie cutter sort of thing. Like, we're really trying to understand where you're at and what your most important first step is. To really be able to be found by more and more patients, not only in AI, but through social media, YouTube, and all of those sort of things as well. So we will be sending out this e-guide with the replay of the webinar today. So every single one of you guys will get that. And then if you want to book a strategy meeting, you can also just go to our website. You can scan this QR code. You will get a 34-page marketing analysis report that is extremely comprehensive. So we look at your website, your SEO. We actually do an AI analysis. We can show you through ChatGPT, Claude, and Google's AI answers who they are actually recommending right now when patients are doing a search. And we can tell you exactly what you need to do to be able to dominate that in a relatively short amount of time. So that is all the stuff that we get to do on our marketing calls. And so this is just how to get in touch with us. I know that everybody's got a jam-packed evening, so we're not going to actually take questions today just because we want to be respectful of your time and we want to get the replay out to everybody. But we appreciate everybody joining. Hopefully you guys took away some good little nuggets all about AI. I appreciate you joining with me, Sherry, after work hours as well.
Yes,
Thank you. So we look forward to seeing everybody, really helping you dominate in terms of this new AI world. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you on a marketing strategy call here shortly.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
All right. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.